Hi coaches, Coach Simpson again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you, after watching this video, have more questions, feel free to reach out to me, fbcoachsimpson@gmail.com. For most of you who know me, know that I just took a new job probably about a month ago. Those of you who don't, I went from a 4A school to a 6A school down the road. I'm in the process, there's boxes all around here in my basement, so I'm getting ready to move to that school. When I moved, I was able to hire some coaches, and that usually happens when you go from one school to another. Sometimes you can hire a lot of coaches, sometimes you can only hire a few coaches, but if you've been a head coach for more than a couple of years, you know that part of that job is filling your staff. So today I want to talk about hiring coaches. What are the things that I do to hire coaches I might recommend to you? A bad hire can haunt you for a long time, so you need to be pretty careful with when you have the ability to hire coaches. And obviously, I don't know your situation. There may be a lot of red tape you're dealing with depending on your administration. I was blessed to work for a great administration, and I'm moving into another administration that gave me a lot of freedom as far as hiring coaches and bringing in good people. I think a lot of that starts off, before I get into my list, with having the same mindset as your administration, with being clear to them that you understand I'm looking for a high character person before I'm looking any farther along as far as their skill coaching the game of football. First of all, that's a great philosophy to have, and that's my philosophy. Second, most administrators, when they hear that and they see that you're actually going to live by that, are going to give you a lot more leeway than you just going and trying to find the best X and O guy you can find, or maybe some guy who's flawed character-wise but is a really good football coach. You're going to get a lot farther if you have the same mindset of your administration, you talk about it beforehand. It doesn't always mean you get what you want or that you'll see eye to eye. However, it will give you an advantage. Now, here's what I look for when I'm looking to hire coaches. One is I've got a general philosophy, what I call non-negotiables. I'm looking at a coach who is going to put kids first above all else. I'm looking at a coach who's going to be loyal to our school and to our staff, ultimately to me as well. That doesn't mean a guy that has to agree with everything I do, but it does mean a guy that I can trust being around. What this guy would want around my son every day is a question I ask. If the answer to that is not yes immediately, he's off the table. I'm not going to hire that guy. I want guys that I can trust to be around kids. I want guys that I can trust to do what they say they're going to do. Okay, I want guys that are high character people. Okay, that's the first thing I'm looking for, is somebody that puts kids first. Okay, that puts the team above themselves. And that means there's been some really good candidates, X and O wise, or with one of these, or really, just a talented football coach, that they don't fit inside of what I want. So I've not interviewed them, because that's not somebody I want. And so that's my philosophy. You as a coach need to come up with yours. What are your non-negotiables? What are these things? These have to be true, and you need that list of, if they don't check every single one of these, we're not even going to move into other things. Okay? And every coach is different. Second thing I look for is diversity in my staff. When I say diversity, the first thing most people think of is ethnicity. And that is true too. You do want diversity in your staff. I do believe that's very valuable. Well, I don't mean just that, although that is valuable. I mean diversity as far as different styles of coaches. Now again, you probably have philosophy here, your non-negotiables, but every coach needs a very high energy coach or multiple coaches. You may not need 45 high energy coaches. You may want 3 or 4 guys that are a little bit more calm, that can reach other kids. And that's what I'm talking about, is you have your high energy coaches. You have your coaches that are more calm. You have your coaches that are great with kids. You have your coaches that are not great speakers, but they're tremendous hard workers. You have your coaches that have all kinds of talents. And my job as a head coach is to make sure we're hitting every area. In a perfect world, every coach would check off every box. That's not the world we live in. Okay, you're not going to have a super outgoing guy and a guy who can reach those quiet kids. You probably need 2 different guys there. So you want to make sure you're filling and your staff is balanced, so that if you have a team like this year, for me, we have 70 kids on the team. They all are going to respond differently. Okay, so I would like a coach that can reach each one of those kids. Some of those kids love the high energy guy. Some of those kids like the quieter guy that can have a real deep conversation with them. Some of those kids really like structure and discipline. They respond very well to that, and that's me. Some of those kids like, hey, let's be a little more spontaneous here, not just do the same single thing every day. So you want that diversity in your staff, and a lot of times that requires self-reflection of you as a head coach. A lot of times I will take a self-reflection of what am I good at, where are areas I've really got to work hard, and then I'm going to try to hire people in these areas that I'm not as good to help me. That doesn't give me a get out of jail free pass. I've still got to improve in those areas, but that balances our staff out. So when I'm talking about diversity, I do think it is important in today's world, especially if you're coaching young men who are different races, different ethnic groups. You need to have a staff that reflects that. Okay. However, I'm also talking about personalities of coaches, ability level of coaches, and even experience, which is my third one here, experience of coaches. It's very good, in my opinion, to have one or two first or second year guys on your staff. Those guys are just sponges that soak up the energy. They can easily relate to kids. It's also good to have that guy on your staff that's either been there, done that. He's been a head coach. He doesn't want that job anymore. So he's a guy you can kind of have as a sounding board, okay? Or a guy who has been around for 20 years and seen a lot of things. Those are guys that are valuable, and so to me, on your staff, experience is great, but I think there's something about having a couple of younger guys on there also. This kind of goes back to that diversity. If you're able to have multiple coaches, it's always good, in my opinion, to have a range of guys that have been there, done that, and then the guys that are excited about every single thing we're doing. And so when you're looking to hire coaches, just a couple ideas for you to think about. Like I said, I've been very blessed with both of the administrations I've worked with to bring in some awesome people. One of the hardest things about being a head coach is working with your assistants. That's probably the biggest jump from being an assistant to being a head coach, okay? And I have found the best years I've had as a head coach have been because the guys around me are excellent coaches, and I'm able to give them more responsibilities that made my job easier, okay? And that have allowed our kids to have a lot more coaching than just one person getting it out there. So if you are a head coach or want to be a head coach, understand this is possibly one of the hardest things you'll do, is bring in great people and then mold those people underneath you. I know Coach Four has a lot of great resources on his website, 8laces.com, if you're interested in some of this stuff, or .org. I've also got a ton on mine, fbcoachsimpson.com. If you would like more detailed things that I do, like a coaching manual, there's a bunch of other stuff on there. You can go there and get that. Appreciate your time. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate if you'd like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.